Hello and thank you for clicking on the video, and welcome back. I'm in a forestry, you can obviously see that, and you can see I'm working hard. There's multiple ways to get to where I want to get to do my wild camp, but they all involve hiking. Walking through this forestry is a lesser of all the evils because I'm on a hard standing road, but I will have to make my way out onto the moor. Now, it's a pretty special place I'm going to. I've wanted to go here for quite a while. Events have conspired against me, but I've getting the sense that with the way the British summer's going, if I don't actually just pull the trigger and come and do it, I don't think I'm going to get the perfect conditions, so I'm just going to do it, and hence I'm here, and I'll take you along and show you why I think this is quite a little special place. Right, I'm making my way down this track and it's going out onto the moors, but over there you'll just see an oak tree, and right beside it you'll see where we're going. And there you go, you can just start to see the ruins of what would have been a farmhouse right at the base of that oak tree. And yeah, I've wanted to come here for a long time and do a wild camp. This old ruin just is so lonely and isolated. It really does stand out, and it's when you pass it you can't help but just stand there and stare at it. Yeah, this is a ruin, and it's pretty high on the moors. There's loads of flies here at the moment because we're on peat, wet, moist ground. The high ground is up there, you can see that. We're going nowhere near that. This is it. This is home for the night, this ruin. Right, let's walk up to it. It might not look like there's a lot left standing, but there's enough to let you see exactly what it was and how it was set up. And so if I sound like I'm out of breath, to give you an indication, I've done a lot of hiking to get here. Right, I'm going to get my Bergen off and we'll take a little look around before we set up camp. And that is getting a priority because it's starting to get windy. The clouds are beginning to go dark, and I don't think there's a lot of light left. Well, this ruin, or what's left of this old farmhouse, from what I can gather on by doing the limited research that I've done, it only comes up as post-medieval. Well, post-medieval covers a vast track of time, and hey, I personally, looking at it, think probably 16th, 17th century, possibly going into the 18th century. It would have been really isolated around here around that time. The 18th century would have seen mining up on the high ground there, but so there would have been some more traffic around, but this would have been in reality quite a isolated place to live, and because of its elevation, quite bleak. particularly in winter. Right, let's have a quick little look around. I'm getting quite anxious to get set up actually, but there is actually a wall, boundary wall here, and you can see paddock walls along here. But obviously this is a wall, a retaining wall. That would have been a lintel, possibly for a window or a doorway, but you can see that's pretty precarious there. I don't want to break my ankle because, my God, I'd have to call out the mountain search and rescue to get me, because you wouldn't be getting out of here too quick. But you can see how the wall is constructed there. It's pretty much like two actual walls locked together. But here we go. We'll just pop inside. You can obviously see it would have been a small dwelling, but it would have been small because of obviously the financial implications to build it in that time and the lack of resources. I'm being careful because, as you can see, it's boulders everywhere. You do not want to, like I said, break a leg or anything like that. So yeah, it's probably only about 14 to 16 feet wide here. I'm guessing there would have been a window there. Not sure what that was. Could have been a doorway, but there's a lintel over there. Was that a doorway? This here is quite blatant that it's a chimney. You can see what that was. That would have been the chimney, kind of like a fireplace there. The fireplace would have sat there, and you can see it would have come up through here. Quite fascinating. There's still this corner here. There's loads of ants here. So let's push on through here. The wind is starting to get up as well. I'm hoping I don't get hit by rain. And I'll just drop down here. And it's looking like what's here would probably be an animal enclosure or barn on the side of the building. It's actually ankle snapping around here, but there you go. I would say that was probably for animals, and I'm not sure this would have been two-story. There's one further across the valley which is a two-story one, but that looks to be a bit later. This is possibly a bit earlier, but if we come back here, you might just be able to imagine it. You can kind of get an idea there of what you're looking at. It is getting gloomy, folks. I really got to think about getting some food on and getting set up. But this old oak tree is now here. It's not an oak tree. I've been calling it an oak tree. It's an ash tree. That's ash. And it looks quite healthy. I suppose it's quite isolated from any of the diseased trees up here. So from the corner, you can actually make out hedge boundaries. There's one here. And there's a little paddock running along here. So they could possibly keep all the animals pretty close to them, you know, in the harsh, like, winter conditions when there wasn't a lot of light. That's a hawthorn there. He's took a fair battering. Now this here is a oak tree here. But yeah, you can see, make out all the ditches and hedge lines of paddocks associated with this ruin. And here you go. I've wanted to do a wild camp here because when I'm hiking I walk past this place and it's just got that real special feel, and I've really just wanted to do it. Now every time I pass this little structure and I sit here, and I often do and think about things, This always reminds me or makes me think or imagine I could be in Wales or Scotland. I've said it before, but I can't help it, and I always sit here and I just drift away in thought. So it's a very, very crude tarp tent setup, and the reason being is I've got no idea if we're going to get torrential downpours tonight. So I want my best chance to stay dry and warm, and this is it. It hasn't been on selected ground. There's just boulders and rocks everywhere. Every little lump and bump is a boulder. So I've just made the best I can. I'm not under any branches that look like they're going to come down. It looks pretty sturdy. So yeah, let's get some food on the go. I have actually brought a map and compass, and with good reason. I'm quite a way out here, and when the fog and mist comes down, you can literally be to a point you can only see just a metre in front of you. Now, I took the daughter, my stepdaughter, actually for a driving lesson last night up on a disused airfield, which is on Bodmin Moor itself. And we were up there driving around, and within 20 minutes, the mist and the rain came in. You couldn't see nothing. Full headlights, and you could see like 20 metres in front of you. So obviously that was the end of the driving lesson, but it just shows you how quick and how thick and how potentially difficult situations can get. Right, I've just chucked my sleeping bag and basically everything I'm going to use to actually, when I go into the tarp tent and sleep in there, because I'm going to keep the Bergen with me, and we're going to go around the back to get some shelter from this wind while I start cooking. Right, so basically this is where I'm going to cook. It's my admin area. It is out of the wind, so I should be able to cook. I'll make sure I'm away from that moss, but that's providing me some wind protection. Now, you're probably thinking, why didn't I put the tarp tent here? I'm simply not going to do that because cattle have been going along here. I can see cow pats and that, and I don't want to be in the middle of the night. I can just see some cattle probably half a mile up on that hill decide they're going to cross the river and decide they're going to wander through here and trample on me. So I can quite happily see they haven't been coming in here, quite simply because of the obstacles. And basically, this is me. There. Pretty, even though I'm in a wide open place here, I'm kind of in a little bit of a dip. I'm out the way, I'm not in the line of sight, and I'll be gone first thing in the morning anyway. And yes, I wasn't even trying to be stealthy as I walked in here, because quite simply, it's a wide open bit of moorland, and people don't bother you unless there's groups of you. And anybody seeing me, they would have known straight away I was heading up here onto the moors or into the forest for a bit of wild camping. And where I'm actually at the location, I'm just so far from where the nuisance wild campers would even want to challenge themselves to get here or walk or put the effort in. I'm pretty much going to be left alone. So while my water boils for my cup of coffee, and I need it because I dehydrated a fair bit lugging that Bergen. I'm glad I don't have to do that to earn a wage anymore. But let's see me, or shall I show you what I'm having for tea tonight? Right then, in the theme of budget and keeping all things budget, I've got some Heinz spaghetti bolognese. Now, this isn't a budget can, it comes with a ring pull. So I'm going to eat this and I'll give you my thoughts on it for a overnighter camping substitute to pouches. Let's get this coffee on the go. I'm in need of this. Whoa. Just the right amount. Put that there. I've got to remember to monitor my milk usage because I brought porridge for the morning. Oh, spillage. Right, let's get this spaghetti bolognese cooking. There we go. Could take a bit longer to warm up because I forgot to bring my other mess tin. Doesn't look too bad. You guys have a look. There you go. It actually does smell quite nice, quite meaty. And I always find a can is just the right amount for one person. That's smelling really nice. Just got some blue skies coming over the top of the Tor over there. That would be a mammoth walk to get over there now. Try not to burn it. So I've got to clean this pan tomorrow for my porridge. Actually, that's smelling and looking really nice. Now that sauce is looking really meaty. You can see the bits of meat in it. But obviously it's all in the taste. For those that don't know, if you want to speed up cooking with mess tins, you put the smallest one on with your food and the big one over the top, so it's almost like a saucepan lid. Obviously that retains heat and it cooks faster using less gas. It's more efficient, but obviously I forgot it, so I'm doing it this way. It's actually boiling now. I'm just letting it warm through and then I'm going to eat it. Right, let's taste it. And it looks like normal tin spaghetti, but there's a lot of meat, like what you'd get in oxtail soup or something like that. But it's really tasty, I can tell you that. Yeah, I mean, this is going to fill me up. And it's quite hearty. It's filling. And it really does taste nice. I'd have no problems eating this for a few days straight. You know, if I was out doing a multi-day hike or trail. You've got the inconvenience of it being a can, I suppose. But this is good food and it would keep you going. For an overnighter, like I always say, 99% of what I do is overnight. A can kind of suits me and it works. So, yeah. Heinz spaghetti bolognese gets a thumbs up for me for wild camping. Well, that was actually nice. That was quite filling. Let's have a little chat about Dartmoor and wild camping. From what I've seen and read, the actual judge is actually, you know, used a bit of common sense, and wild camping is reinstated to where it was. But while just sort of like cluing myself up a little bit with that situation, I did come across some other YouTube channels which were stating that that might not be the end of it, that there's individuals seeking to alter wording or legislation or documents, which means that wild camping could potentially still be, or in the future be, at risk with what they're proposing. I'm not qualified to discuss that because I've only watched a couple YouTube videos on that particular side of what's happened. I strongly suggest you look that up, because we may have won the battle, but there could be something further down the line if we're not careful and vigilant. But like I said, I'm not qualified to talk about that. You need to do your own research on that, but I strongly suggest you do. Now, as I said, this was actually going to be one of my centerpieces of the year, to actually bring you along to this ruin, discuss it, discuss the people that could have potentially lived here, what they would have done, what they would have looked like. And like I said, you know, I can't find too much about this place other than it says post-medieval. And as I've already discussed, that is one hell of a wide open time frame. But I'm guessing 16th, 17th and 18th century, and that's still a 300-year window there. But in any case, hard, brutal life, and I love being here, just, you know, whiling away time, thinking about the people that could have lived here. But the weather hasn't cooperated. It probably hasn't cooperated with a lot of you as well. But I've come here. It's not too bad a weather. It's a little bit windy. I was hoping for wall-to-wall blue skies and watching the sun set over the tors and the wood lines and things like that. And I was going to hopefully make this a really, you know, atmospheric wild camp. I'm still enjoying it because, quite simply, I just want to spend a night here. And it's one of those situations, you know, you may never actually come back and do a wild camp here. I'll be walking and hiking past here. But with everything else I want to do in life, and time pressures and family pressures and things like that, I may never be able to keep revisiting the same spots if I want to carry on doing other spots and utilising my time doing that. So I'm glad I've got here, and it isn't raining, you know, thank God, and I'm actually enjoying this. And I'm soaking the atmosphere in, and I'm looking at what the people that lived here would have seen. Granted, the forests probably wouldn't have been here because they were probably planted under the Forestry Legislation Act after the war, or just before the wars, or after the wars, I can't remember, to give Britain its you know, legitimate own wood supply. But you know, it still would have been wide open, and it would have been, you know, they would have been able to look around and see exactly what I'm seeing. And to look up on those tors, it's absolutely spectacular. And I'm hoping to see, you know, the last light come down over those tors. Well, how about that, boys and girls? There is a bit of a sunset behind those trees, but it's illuminating the clouds. I've got a cider here and I'm just watching it, and I'm going to wait for basically last light. And yeah, it's fantastic just being out here, knowing really that I am probably the only person for miles around here. It's quite a nice thought. Well, that light is just about gone, and it's actually more spectacular than I thought it was going to be. Just look at that over that wood line there, and with the oak tree just there, that is picture perfect. I'll swing you around. Incidentally, if you were down the coast now, walking on the footpaths or just getting out after having a surf, it would be absolutely glorious. I'll swing you around. You can see another wood lining block there. Home for me tonight, the old ruin. And looking back out on those tours. Done that look atmospheric. That's what I wanted. That's what I came here for. Well, like I've just told you, it's what I came here for. This is totally atmospheric. As this light is just, it's not going to stay like this forever. It's only a fleeting moment. But this light is making this place absolutely come to life. You know, it's almost magical in its quality. And I'm loving it. And yeah, it's feeling even more special than I thought. I'm glad I done this and I just didn't keep postponing. Then it would have been winter. And to come up here in the winter would take a fair set of, I'm not going to use what I'm going to, it would take a lot of willpower and mental persuasion to actually want to come here and do this in the depths of winter. We're quite high and exposed. But yeah, this really is doing it for me. And I've just got off the phone to the wife and yeah, it's amazing that with a phone I can actually now talk to my wife who's back home, you know, with the kids all comfortable watching TV and films, and I'm here in the middle of nowhere by this ruin. Just think of what the people that lived here would think of a mobile phone. It actually blows my mind, let alone what they would think of it. Well, I'm pretty much getting ready for the last bits of light now. It's just about gone. If you look over there, you might just see a red light in the distance. Well, I didn't leave home till 6 o'clock, and by the time I got here, it's only sort of like a 15-minute drive from mine, but I've had to hike up here, and obviously you saw a fair portion of that. And it was for a good few miles. I'm glad I done it now. I mean, all that worry and panic, waiting for the optimum conditions, it just goes to show that there is something to be said for just going and doing it. Now, like I said, I might not never come back here to wild camp, but what a memory to keep. What, you know, what a memory. The photos I've got. Hopefully my kids can look at those photos. You know, this may all be some, you know, massive housing estate by then. But, you know what I mean? But absolutely glorious. I'm glad I've done this. Message to anybody out there who's considering doing something. Just go and do it. Well then, guys, I usually do a bit of a waffle by torchlight. I'm not going to. I'm just going to sit here and watch the last of the light go. Then I'm going to get an early night because I've got to be up early tomorrow morning. And yeah, I'm going to sign off from here. I'm glad I've been able to take you along to this place and just see and feel a little bit of the magic. And literally just step back in time and see what somebody could have possibly seen 200-300 years ago. Well, you're correct. I'm back at the car. You can see all the kids' bikes. And I'm sitting in the boot. And I'm about to do myself a coffee. At 3 o'clock, the wind started really rattling in. The clouds started coming in. And I quickly flipped online and it said that it was going to basically possibly have thunderstorms, rain. And it was looking like the weather was really closing in. So I made the decision to pack up and come back to the car, but I can't go home because if I go home, I'm just going to wake the dog up and then I'll wake the whole house up. So I'm stuck here for a few hours anyway. So I'm going to do myself a cup of coffee a moment. Right, I've got my brew kit out and I'm just going to get myself a cup of coffee and sit here and chill for a moment. The first light is beginning to come through. I'll bring you around. You can just see it up there in the distance. It won't be long now. Yeah, so this isn't how I wanted to end it. I mean, I can feel quite a wind now coming, even though I'm in the shelter of some trees here. I can see the sun is beginning to come up, or dawn's starting to happen. No birds singing yet, but yeah, I'm sat in a camp chair here underneath my car boot lid, and I'm brewing up a coffee. It's funny where life takes you. Well, you can hear the wind and see the clouds now, and I think it was a good call. There were no clouds when I stopped filming last night. What a gorgeous sunrise. Look how fast those clouds are moving in relation to the telegraph pole. That wind really has picked up. So I've got my coffee and I'm watching the sun come up. That's a result in itself. I'm not too disappointed actually that I had to leave there a couple hours earlier than I wanted to. Like I said, it was 3 o'clock pretty much when I decided to bail, and it would have been 5 o'clock. I would have had to do it anyway to get back here to the car park, and you'll see the reason why in a moment. Right then, I've just finished my coffee and there's enough light now. I'm going to get some breakfast on the go. But I'll just show you why I've got to be here to leave quite so early. And it'll become all apparent then. Oh, right. I come up to this gate. And as you can see, they're working in this woods. So, to cut a long story short, I've got to be out of here before anybody turns up to start work. But it's looking pretty horrible now. And the trees are beginning to move quite a lot. Well, I've got my last cup of coffee on the go. It's well past 6 o'clock now, so I'm going to get that sorted, drink that up, and basically put my stuff away, get off home. It's well early enough now for me to be able to go home and walk the dog, get that done. Then I'll put all my stuff away and sit down and reflect on this little wild camping expedition. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've got out of it exactly what I wanted. I finished a couple hours earlier, that's all, 3 instead of 5 in the morning. But it's a working forest at the moment, so I have to be out of here. And yeah, all that's left for me to say is I hope you enjoyed this, coming along on this one with me. This is Andy from Hidden Valley Footpaths. Stay safe, take care, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail.